circumstances you might find a problem, like your iPhone contacts won't sync, or the map is frozen. In those circumstances, you need to reboot the 17-inch display. And that's very easy to do. Just place both thumbs on the scroll wheels and press and hold for about 10 seconds. When you release, the screen goes black and then reboots. And it's safe to do that while you're driving. Although the screen displays huge amounts of information, it doesn't control any of the critical systems of the car. Very occasionally, it might be necessary to reboot the small dash display. You do that in the same way that you reboot the main display, but instead of pressing and holding the thumb wheels, you press and hold the top two buttons for about 10 seconds, and eventually the display will reboot itself. Everybody knows that to open the charge port, you press the button on the UMC. But occasionally, the charge port doesn't open. What most people don't realize is that the sensor for the button isn't actually by the charge port. It's up here in the surround for the rear window. So if you press the button and you don't get any response, then sometimes moving the UMC closer to the window surround will successfully open the port. Most owners know that the Model S is powered by a lithium-ion battery, and they know that it's in the base of the car. But few people really understand quite how that is made up. In fact, it's made up of these. These are what are called 18650 cells, named because of the length and width. And it's a lithium-ion battery that you'd find in a laptop. Now, Tesla uses a special chemistry in these, but the form factor, the structure, is pretty much the same. And there are over 7,000 of these standing vertically in rows in the base of the car. In the rare circumstances that you need to replace a fuse in a Model S, they're behind this panel in the front. To remove the panel, lift up from the back edge and then pull away from you to reveal the two fuse boxes. For users on the road, Tesla provides a J1772 adapter for the UMC. What many owners don't realize is there's a place in the back corner of the cubby to store the J1772, and it stops it rolling around and causing problems. Owners with leather seats will find a small pocket on the front of the driver's side, and only on the driver's side, that's great for storing things like charge point cards or any other small items. One of the first things many owners realize is there's no physical key to get in the car, just the key fob. And that leads people to wonder, well, what happens if the battery dies? How do I start the car? Well, the trick in the owner's manual is that you can put the key in the cup holder or down by the USB ports. Now, I've taken the battery out of my key, and when I try and press on the brake, nothing happens. And when I was testing earlier, I found that even in the cup holder, it still doesn't turn on. But if I take the key and hold it against the plastic about 1 inch below the 12-volt outlet, when I press the brake, the car starts up. The key fob contains its own battery, and the car will tell you when the battery is running low. But one thing to be careful of, the car can sense both batteries that you have if they're within range of the car. When I got in my car earlier this week, it was telling me the battery was low in my fob, and I changed it, and it was still telling me it was low. And it was only after some investigation that I found that it was my wife's key that was in the kitchen that the car was recognizing and telling me about. One of the few problems with Model S is that the trunk can be quite dark, and so I did the relatively easy option of installing some aftermarket LED lights. They're pretty easy to install and just involve tapping a wire into the existing lighting in the trunk, and it makes a huge difference. Tesla calls the interior lights of the car dome lights, and they're controlled from the touchscreen. They can either be off, on, or set to automatic when you enter the car. But what many people don't realize is that the lights themselves are push buttons, and you push to turn them on and push to turn them off. Tesla's 17-inch display is incredibly easy to use, and all the controls are right in front of you. But there is one little hidden trick that many people don't realize. If you press the Tesla T, you get the display of your car along with the version of the software that you're running and your VIN number. But if you press and hold the little number of your car, after about 10 seconds you should get a nice little Easter egg, a picture of the folks from the factory celebrating the launch of Model S.